Welcome to the Stoppage Time edition of the Pitch to Pro podcast. This is a highlight reel of some of the best moments from the show so far, and every other week we will be bringing you a special 5 to 7 minute segment featuring the best stories, tales, and moments of the podcast.
Every player playing in college has just as many awards as you, and they've been around the block, even as you have, right? And it is a humbling experience, but it's also like for me, I enjoyed the level of play that I had with New Mexico United. College was a high level for me, but even going like the organization level that the USL Championship brings, it was really good for me, and I really enjoyed being there. It is eye-opening too, like the levels, like you go from college into the championship, the jumps, it's eye-opening how sophisticated the levels are and the organization is, right? And even more so when you're playing against, like in the Open Cup, we had a decent run in the Open Cup, and I got to hop into a game against Minnesota United. And I'm like, man, like playing against guys in the MLS I watch on TV, and I'm like, oh wow, this is next level, and so it's interesting too. Well, this is kind of different, but with New Mexico United, they were so involved in their community, kind of like what we're intending to do. That's the goal. It's tangible, right? I remember I never saw myself as a popular player. I mean, I didn't play as many minutes. I got some good minutes as a rookie, and I got good minutes as my second year. But I never really saw myself as like, I'm popular, And you'd walk into a Target, and then all of a sudden people are calling your name. And I'm like, me? Like, you're talking to me? But it was such a cool thing to go around, and how a community takes on the team, and players walk around the community and are engaging, right? It was that experience was very cool. So
that's awesome.
Any other questions there? Like, try to expand on.
I wanted to build on something you talked about. The difference between college and professional, right? In terms of skill level, but I think, and what I've heard, I don't know because I've not played on both levels like you have, but a lot of times what you will hear is that the difference between like a good player and an elite player that makes that jump is someone that has it up here, but then also they execute the little things flawlessly every time. Is that similar in your experience, or
100%,
how would you describe that difference?
It's kind of spot on for me. So I watch, for me, I've coached at John Brown University. I was an assistant coach there. In my time as a coach, the amount of games I've watched, the amount of leagues I've watched, it's been crazy. My wife probably doesn't like it because I watch games all the time. I watch Championship, I watch League One, I watch MLS. I've been watching the Prem, but for what I do, is like the Prem is it's next level. It's so sophisticated, and those players are just one of a kind. They're one of a kind players,
world class,
all gathered in one league. What I've seen is, and it kind of, I want to say it this way before I go to my experience and the whole college professional thing. Each level is kind of marked looks like it's marked in different ways, right? Like in the Prem, you have guys who could change a game at any second they can change a game. And those guys are like crazy athletes. They're crazy with the ball, high IQ. MLS is kind of in that same boat, maybe lower, but it's very much similar. I mean, you could look at the guys coming in. And in the championship, you do see a player every now and then that changes the game, and they're crazy dynamic, they're crazy athletic. Oftentimes those players, I mean, if they have successful seasons, they get moved up. But what you see more in the championship is the organization of each team. They're so organized. The details are, because that's where the game's won and lost. the team who makes it almost looks like the team who makes the least mistakes is probably the team going to win the game, because there's not a guy who's going to dribble 4 players. There's not a guy who's going to like take on the team and give me the ball, let me do the dribbling. There's not a guy who's necessarily going to smash a goal from 35 yards out every several games.
Right.
So it's coming to your point. Like, from what I've seen, there are players in college who have crazy ability. Their feet is really, really good, and maybe even sometimes better than some players in the championship.
Thank you for joining us for this Stoppage Time special of the Pitch to Pro podcast. If you've enjoyed the conversation, you can click watch the full episode here. Be sure to tune in next Thursday for a new episode of the Pitch to Pro podcast, the official podcast of Ozark United FC. Available on YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere you get your podcasts.